Right, that's enough of me waffling, but great shout for Dynamite Baits there. Time now, as promised, to go to the lines and David Eastwood. As I say, he's launched a new new podcast, 2 Pints of Maggots and a Packet of Hooks. I suspect he's named that after his favourite fishing TV programme, the sitcom, 2 Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps. There we go, nice neat little segue. He's on the line now. Good morning, David, how you doing?
I'm all right, Nigel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. Yeah, Mark, my producer you just spoke to, we're both happy to be on air after thinking we might not be with the cricket, but England's batting collapse means we're here, so great to talk to you.
Yeah, well, you know what, their loss is my gain, I guess. So absolutely, and it's interesting there, Nigel. You said about the packaging. That's great news, isn't it? I read that yesterday myself, and it really is a sort of a step in the right direction for the whole industry, I think.
It certainly is. I always think if I unpack my stuff from the supermarket, I feel like taking it back to them, and saying, look, it's quite simple to me. If you're the supermarket manager and I'm a supplier and I come to you and say, do you want my pears? You say, yeah, we'll buy those from you, Nigel, but not in those big, polystyrene. Just put them in a paper bag. It's quite
100%.
Simple, but. Yeah, so great I'm sure there are lots of other companies going along the same lines, but great of Dynamite to take the lead like that, so fantastic. 2 Pints of Maggots and a Packet of Hooks. Where did the idea come from?
Well, you got the name right. There you go, straight away. You got the inspiration from the naughty sitcom, if you like, so you're spot on there. But the inspiration was actually from my wife. Like most things, I guess, now, Nigel, it was sort of born out of boredom, if you like, because since lockdown, I guess the one in November, lockdown 2, if you want to call it that, it's been mainly pleasure fishing for myself, who is predominantly, a match angler, if you like. And I started doing a little bit of work for a relatively new bait company. And whilst I was doing some bits and pieces for them, making some videos and just getting my head around that media side of things, it was my good lady that said to me, why don't you think about doing a podcast? Not that I'm an expert at, these videos and the sort of media side of things, but I can talk a bit, in my professional life. It's what I do pretty much day in, day out. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and started with our mutual friend, Keith Arthur. We've known Keith for a long, long time. And then obviously once Keith's on the books, if you like, that's then my case study to go out to other people and say, look, well, Keith did it. Let's, do you want to get involved? It spiraled from there, really.
And you and Keith go back a long way, because were you a Tight Lines Young Angler winner back in the Sky days?
That's right, 1995, Nigel, and that's just a scary thought when I think back to that. Yeah, I was the very first one, and I won a day out with Keith, and he came up north where I'm originally from, and we had a bit of a disaster day. It was middle of November. It was freezing cold, gin clear, very bright, the worst possible conditions, but we managed to winkle a few out. And we've stayed in touch ever since. So it was a great start for the podcast. And as you know, and the guys in the studio know that, Keith can talk for England. And it was a case of ask a question and he runs with it. So that settled me in nicely for the format of the remainder of the shows, really.
Yeah, now I've listened to all three of them now, and I have to say I really enjoyed all three. Keith, as you say, Keith can talk for England, but still very interesting. I'm sure anybody listens to it will find out a few more things they didn't know about Keith. It was a great listen, and like you say, a very, very easy one for you. And it also makes me realise how good Tight Lines was back in those days, because it became like a club. If you'd won that Young Angler. Now, something else someone could win and never be heard of again, whereas that brought you into the fold and you stayed in the Tight Lines fold. It became like a big family, and I suppose that's partly what's so great about fishing. I seem to remember you even came up and visited the Sky Studio, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah. It was about sort of, crikey, even now I'm probably going back 18, 19 years to Isleworth at the time, yeah. And saw, Keith invited me on and saw the show broadcast live. And that was fantastic. And funnily enough as well, there was a golf championship going on at the time. I can't remember which one. It might have been the US Masters. and there was a lot of editing and production taking place on the studio next door. And one of the directors invited me into there to show me how they do all the cutaways for all the different shots and how they work out the timing for the different tee-offs, etc. And that was fascinating as well. I'd have never have seen anything like that if it wasn't for Tight Lines also.
Yeah, fantastic. No, it was exciting times at Tight Lines. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you'd be in. You don't have to worry about this. I've got a better face for radio, but when I used to be on there, you'd go into makeup, and before anybody starts jumping to conclusions, makeup wasn't vanity. It was just to stop reflection. You used to just have some bit of foundation put on, stop the studio lights reflecting off you, and you'd be sat in makeup next to Gabby Logan or a former professional footballer. It was a great atmosphere there, wasn't it? And for you, still a schoolboy then, it must have been really exciting.
That's right. Yeah, no, it was brilliant, and I guess everything's evolved from then. Once I got into my 20s, I moved away for a few years. I went living overseas, and I sort of lost touch a little bit with my fishing, but it's always there. I was still going out in the sea and sort of doing bits and pieces like that. And funnily enough, Keith was always there. If you had a question, it wasn't about waggler fishing on a park lake this time round. It was around trolling a lure in the Atlantic, and he had the answers, or he'd give me some inspiration at least. So, and then when I come back to the UK, I've just been pretty much club fishing for about 10 years now. Nigel, on the commercials, getting out and about, and it's only since I moved from Manchester down to Lincolnshire. With my wife, is where she's from, and since I've moved down here, the variety of venues, it's really sort of took me back to when I was a boy. And actually, match fishing taking a back seat is not such a bad thing at the minute, because I'm really sort of diversifying my fishing again, and that's what's brought the list, I guess, or guest list on the podcast to be quite diverse. I would never really have thought of Rob Hughes until I've started diversifying my angling and talking to a lot more carp anglers and things like that. So yeah, it's been a really good journey so far.
Great stuff. Lots more I want to ask you about it. We've got to go for a break here, but stay tight. We'll be coming up next because you've got Nick Speed next. I don't know if you've recorded it yet, but I look forward to speaking to you about that. That's coming up next on Fisherman's Blues.
Fisherman's Blues with Nigel Botherway on TalkSport 2.
Annie can't wait to join her digital solar system lesson. She's certain she wants to be a dancer on Mars. But instead of learning at the speed of light, her Wi-Fi is in a galactic slump. Why, Mum and Dad? Why set Annie up for an out-of-this-world lesson if your Wi-Fi holds her back? But with BT, she can still reach for the stars. Only BT guarantees broadband speeds all the time on all packages or £20 back. BT, beyond limits.
Speed guaranteed to the hub. £20 reward card if promised speed not delivered within 30 days. Terms apply. Verify at bt.com/verify speeds.
The Land Rover Spring Sale, with exclusive offers on selected models including the new Discovery, our most versatile 7-seat SUV. You'll be fully prepared for your next family adventure. Offers available from the 26th of February to the 8th of March online or from your local retailer. Be adventure ready. Search Land Rover Sale. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Selected models only. Terms and conditions apply. At participating retailers only.
You buy a treadmill. It has a mind of its own.
Speed 10, 15, 40.
Sadly, we can't help you run any faster. But when you pay with a Visa debit or credit card and the seller won't refund you, you could still get your money back, which you can use to buy a new treadmill. One that respects your athletic ability.
Incline 30 degrees. Warm-up complete.
Search Visa. How you pay matters to find out more. Refunds are not guaranteed. Your statutory rights are not affected. Contact your bank to discuss your options.
Hello, Specsavers here. We know being able to see and hear keeps you connected to your world and the people you love, especially during lockdown. And eye tests can help detect a range of underlying health conditions too. So we're letting you know our stores remain open, with current guidance allowing you to leave your home for eye and hearing tests. We have all the necessary measures in place to keep you and our colleagues safe, in line with government and NHS advice. We're open to care for you. Find out more at specsavers.co.uk.
Women's Football Weekly with Faye Carruthers on TalkSport 2, the only dedicated women's football show on UK national radio.
With expert analysis, speculation and opinion from some of the biggest names in the global game.
Hi, I'm Leah Williamson from Arsenal Women.
Hi, I'm Ashley from Tottenham Hotspur.
Hi, I'm Gemma Davison.
Hi, I'm Jordan Nobbs. Listen to Women's Football Weekly on TalkSport 2.
Women's Football Weekly with Faye Carruthers.
This is what we came for.
Tomorrow night from 6 on TalkSport 2.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. This is Fisherman's Blues on TalkSport 2.
I got the blue Marlin blues from my hat to my shoes. I used to catch them in twos, no matter which bait I choose. How many more can I lose? They got me drinking the booze. I got the blue Marlin blues.
Hope you haven't got the blues this morning. Dylan in Hailsham certainly hasn't. He sent me a message. Says, "Morning Nigel, thanks for putting me on to AGM Lures. I bought some rubber jig baits from them this week and I had a lovely pike on them yesterday morning in a local drain 2 fields from my house, tight lines." Oh, nice one, Dylan. Love it. 2 fields from your house. That certainly is fishing locally. Well done. Glad you're staying safe and glad we helped you catch a pike. Brilliant. Right, I'm speaking to David Eastwood of 2 Pints of Maggots and a Packet of Hooks podcast. You've Keith Arthur, Tommy Pickering, Rob Hughes. That's a great 3 to start. And you've got Nick Speed next. Have you recorded that one yet, David?
No, not yet, Nigel. The plan's to do that this evening, hopefully, all being well.
Oh, brilliant.
I've got a couple of questions. Yeah, it's really good. I've got a couple of questions from the listeners as well. I've sort of reached out to my own social media channels on the last couple, and response has been fairly muted. But this time round, I think now the listeners are building, I guess. There's other couple of questions to pose to him, so that should be quite interesting. That's something I want to sort of, expand the show on, get a bit more involvement from the listeners. So it'd be really good. Nick's a great all-round angler, and I'll be fascinated to he's very methodical, his thought process, a bit like Rob, in terms of sort of like fish behaviour, etc. So it'll be a continuation of that theme, very much with a match style in mind.
Yeah, I see Nick's on the cover of this month's Match Fishing magazine, isn't he? He's, yeah, great angler. No, that'll be a good one, I'm sure. And how I binge listened, it was great because I listened to one, I think, on Friday night, and then I listened to Rob Hughes on Friday, and on the way to Worcester yesterday, I listened to Keith Arthur, and then I had Tommy Pickering for company on the way home. So I binged. But how often are you broadcasting them? Well, the initial plan was to do one a month, and it's sort of cascaded into once a fortnight at the moment. It's a little, you notice the one with the Rob, it's a little bit difficult with the tackle piece and the news piece that I'm trying to keep to the format of because of the way that the monthly magazines work out. So they've just literally landed on my doorstep yesterday. So the one with Nick, I'll be able to cover what I call the press pack, as well as look at the tackle reviews in there as well. And I think looking at the lineup that's coming up, I think I can keep up with at least every fortnight or 3 weeks. It's like anything though, isn't it, Nigel? If there's no listeners, there's no point in me doing it. But as long as I get listeners, I'll keep doing them. Yeah, well, I hope they grow for you. And I like tackle reviews. I think everybody likes tackle review. I often think I ought to do a tackle review on this show because we all love to hear about the latest bit of kit and, what people use. And, if there's something new, I mean, we're like magpies. We've got to have it sometimes, haven't we? But I like your down-to-earth approach, recommending some good cheap stuff. You bought that leader rod for 40 quid and we're really pleased with it. It's, it's good to get recommendations from people you respect. That's good. And, you've got to remind me because I was in the car last night and I don't know, I just didn't quite hear Tommy Pickering. You asked what was the piece of kit he couldn't do without. And it was something about a shot remover. That's right. It's an Italian piece of kit. It was called a lever piombo. And I thought he said I was exactly the same at the time because we had a bit of a dodgy line when we had a few technical issues. And I thought he said a dosa piombo. Now, dosa piombo I had years and years ago, and it's what you'd use to shot your pole floats. It was around reducing surface tension. So we haven't got a great big lake to shot our float. So if you did it in, say, a little bucket of water, the dosa piombo equalised the surface tension. So I thought he said that, and it was a lever piombo, which is, I imagine, the same firm. But yeah, taking shot off the line and putting it on without using your gnashes. Yeah, no, great. That save your teeth, yeah, and save damaging the line. That's what I always worry about. I thought he was going to say a ruler because I often think of Tommy if I'm float fishing and I'm putting him a shot on because Tommy is vigilant on measuring to make sure he's got equal spacing with his shot, isn't he? And I know he always carries a 12-inch ruler.
That's right. Yeah, and I was surprised when he said it because I had to do a double take as well, and I must admit I did have to have a little Google afterwards, and I purchased one as well. I don't think I'm the only one.
And how do you spell it? I'm sure lots of people are wondering.
Yeah, it's something like Levo Piambo, Levo Piambo.
Is that all one word or two?
Yeah, all one word. Yeah.
All one word. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
If I remember rightly,
yeah.
I think they're made by Stonfo. I think Stonfo might be the manufacturer, but a quick Google search, you will find it. I think I paid $7.99 for mine, and I've used it once, and he's right, they do work.
Oh, brilliant. And I thought something that you must have been really chuffed. Like just now, I read a message. We mentioned a lure last week, and somebody's bought one and caught a pike, and that makes my day. And that was brilliant. You spoke to Keith at length about Get Hooked on Fishing. And as a result of Tommy listening to that, he spoke to David Preston at Fuca Baits, and they're donating bait to Get Hooked on Fishing. That must make you very proud.
Very much so, and it came completely out of the blue. I didn't realise that had taken place until obviously Tom alluded to it at the start of the episode 2. And I left the podcast, and again I told the wife, and she said, "Look, well there you go. I told you to give it a try," and it's been vindicated straight away because, and as I said on those 2 episodes, if one fishing session makes a positive impact on one of those young people's lives, then great. And if the bait that Tom provides makes it easier, and I think Keith did say actually when I mentioned it to him, a lot of the kids, they don't like using maggots, worms, they're a little bit afraid, not too sure, and obviously the Fuca bait takes all that away, so it's perfect.
Yeah, they look more like sweets, don't they?
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, that is a good shout. Yeah. Keith also mentioned Les Webber's angling projects. I've spent a lot of time volunteering with Les Webber and Sarah Collins at Get Hooked on Fishing. And I can echo everything that Keith said about how rewarding it is when you're fishing with young people who fishing is genuinely making a positive impact on their lives. It's lovely having nice posh kids, but when you get kids that it really is helping to turn their lives around, and you see the effect fishing can have, it is just brilliant. And it's I know Keith loves it, and both those projects do a great job. And so very good of David Preston to get behind it, and Tommy for mentioning it to David Preston. I see Tommy's got a live Q&A online tonight talking about Fuca Baits.
He has, yeah. I saw that as well about 8:30, I think. So that'll be interesting as well because it's so new and it's quite unique. I think it probably does need a constant explanation until people stick them on the hook and actually start catching fish. So, but he's doing some great videos as well demonstrating it, so it won't be long. And like we said, I'm sure it will take off big time.
Yeah, you said you'd bought some black ones to go hemp fishing with. Have you tried them yet?
I had not been able to because of the lockdown, Nigel. Because I've got to stay local. I mean, I am quite lucky in the respect there's a lot of good waters within sort of a few miles from the house. But I've got to stay as close as I can, and I haven't got a river close enough to try them. So, but I do believe that on one of my local waters, they have been catching some silvers on hemp and tares on the still water. So I might get to give them a go at some point soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's still a lot of scope with them, and Tommy also alluded that there's some new bits coming out. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw Fuca boilers in the future.
Well, who knows? Yeah, I mean, he said there's some very exciting ideas being banded around, and well, as we know, we spoke about on that episode is Dave Preston's. He's renowned, isn't he, for great sort of innovation, if you like. So I'm sure they'll come up with all sorts.
Yes, I've been fishing with him, and I've been carp fishing with him, and you see some of the baits he uses. Innovation doesn't begin to describe it.
No.
He's fantastic. So watch this space. It's going to be very, very exciting. I'd like to ask you, we've got to go to another break, but I'd like to ask you, just to let you think during the break, some of the logistical things. I'm sure there must be lots of listeners, whether they're angling clubs, individuals, youngsters, thinking, podcasts, they're the thing of the moment. And, just how you go about setting one up and hosting one, broadcasting, etc. So we'll talk about that after this next break. It's just coming up 7 o'clock on Fisherman's Blues.
Fisherman's Blues with Nigel Botherway on TalkSport 2.
At the Bank of Antandek, the CEOs are discussing digital banking.
Dec, digital is our destiny.
You said singing was our destiny. Look how that turned out.
Picture this, the world's first virtual bank.
Oh, will there be virtual hobnobs?
Meanwhile, at Santander, they're keeping the digital stuff simple with My Money Manager in their mobile banking app, which sends you useful notifications so you can stay close to your money. See what's possible at Santander.
16 plus applies to Santander credit cards, current and savings accounts accessed via mobile banking. T's and C's apply.
Selling your car can be a tough job, but there's no drama with Motorway. At motorway.co.uk, you can sell your car like a pro. Motorway finds your best offer from a nationwide network of verified dealers. You can get up to £1,000 more than part exchange. Go to motorway.co.uk and sell your car like a pro.
Motorway.co.uk. Good morning to the sausage and egg McMuffiners, and hash brown in the middlers, rise and shine red or brown sauce debaters, and latte one sugar drinkers. And hello to those who drive through. Our delicious breakfast is ready. Are you? Breakfast at McDonald's. Truly delicious. Served until 11 a.m, subject to participating restaurants' opening hours and menu choices.
Imagine how it'd feel to win £10,000. Like you'd smashed it. With Set for Life, you could win £10,000 every month for 30 years. Set for Life from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Play Monday on app, online and in-store. Prize may be capped. Account terms, rules, procedures and game-specific rules apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Mums do so much for us, so it's time to say a special thank you. Treat Mum this Mother's Day with a celebration cake layered with raspberry jam and decorated with floral frosting for just £6 from your local Co-op. Show Mum you care this Mother's Day. Co-op, it's what we do. Subject to availability, participating stores only, ends 14th of March.
Tuesday night, Champions League, live. Juventus versus Porto. Coverage from 7, kick-off at 8 on TalkSport 2.
Stick to the rules, follow the advice, and relegate COVID-19. On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. This is Fisherman's Blues on TalkSport 2.
Tumbling on the seas, far away from dry land and its bitter memories, casting out my sweet life with abandonment and love. Now ceiling bearing down on me, say the starry sky above with light in my head, you in my
I did mention him earlier, but a message from Martin Salter of Reading and District AA, also Angling Trust, of course. Martin writes, such a bind for us only being able to fish locally. I've just gone and smashed my Thames Chub PB by over £1 with a £7 8-ounce Berkshire chunk. With Peter Godfrey's fabulous £2 4-ounce roach from the Thames and some great Kennet chub, perch and barbel coming out this week, we really are blessed with some great fishing around these parts. A great way to end the season. Nike it, Martin, well done. PB Chub 7-8. Oh, I've never had a 7-pounder. One day. Right, speaking to David Eastwood, one of the things I was going to ask you about, David, as I say, is if anyone's listening, we all love podcasts now. They're the way to go. I listen to so many of them. I'm sort of racking up credits on my Audible account. How do you actually, what are the logistics of hosting a podcast? What do you have to do?
Yeah, I have been racking my brains through the break there because I can't profess to be an expert at this, but I did do a fair old bit of research as to how to go about getting it to the widest audience possible, I guess. So my sort of research, you can do it as simple or as complicated as you wish, really. So simplicity, let's take an example that a little bit of fun, perhaps a club or a team, and you want to interview each other, as an example, and just share it amongst the guys and girls in the club. That'd be quite a fun way of doing things. That a simple Zoom video, Nigel, or a Zoom audio. And you often have the function to record it, download it as like an MP3 or a WAV file, and then just upload it to your platform of choice. So that was the simplest form that you could start, I guess. And then you start digging around a little bit further into looking at different platforms. And I went down the route of one of the subscription platforms online. There's many on there. But what that does, it gives you the ability to host a video and an audio chat at the same time, or one or the other. And there's often not bolted out the back of this software that you're using, a professional editing suite. So they'll take out all the noise, all the crackle, if you like, and it gives it a more sort of polished feel to the end of it. And then after that, you've got to think about where you want to post it. And there's often, it's not quite as simple as, filming something on your mobile and uploading it to various social media channels. It's a little bit more, there's more subscriptions involved in some respects to try and target different audiences. But there's loads of different mediums to get out there. And a lot of the podcast platforms attach themselves to some of the big, like you just said, whether it be Audible or Amazon Music or something like that, and they'll actually do it for you. But the more you want to spread your wings, like anything, the more your subscription fee is. So it's not free what I do, but it's not like a huge cost either, and it's more than happy to sort of pay a couple of quid out every month to get these great big interviews.
Yeah, great. It's fantastic. There's just so much fishing online now that we can listen to. I think it's brilliant. And again, like you see Nick Speed in the magazines, and I've never heard Nick Speed speak. It's lovely to hear them talk, isn't it? And I look forward to listening to that one. He's a good lad, Nick, isn't he?
Well, funnily enough, the format, I didn't want to talk tactics. When I sat down and decided how I want to run this show, it's not something I didn't want to sit there and talk about, how do you have your pole float and all this sort of stuff, and where do you cast your lead. It was very much about the person, as you
getting to know them. Yeah.
Very much so. It's got this past, present, and future concept to it, rather than talking tactics. Because as you say, quick look on social media and you find all you need to know. So I have to do something different to make sure that we get the listeners.
Yeah, you talk about the past. You're up in Lincolnshire. My father and his family were all from Lincolnshire, from Barrowby, just outside Grantham. Are you far from there?
Not at all, no. It's probably about 20 minutes from where I am. So, yeah, that's not far at all. I'm sure my wife sounds like your family.
Small world, isn't it? And the other thing, going back to Tommy, that I've often thought this is when you asked him about his favourite piece of kit, he reckoned that those old Tommy Pickering Daiwa connoisseurs were the greatest fishing rod ever made. And I wouldn't disagree with that, because there was a time in the 90s. Nowadays, I think people make the best fishing rod they can for the price, whereas I think there was a time in the 90s when, Daiwa were working on those connoisseurs and the amorphous carp rods, where it was just, let's see the best rod we can make, and money didn't come into it. And they did come up with some brilliant rods, didn't they?
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if they sold them at a loss back then.
Yeah,
that's how good they are. And it's funny you say that, because last week I went to do some slider fishing, not something I've done for years and years. And I dug out an old waggler rod there, and it's from the early 90s, amorphous whisker waggler rod, heavy version. And I picked it up, and I've probably not held that for sort of 10 years, and compare it to pretty much everything I've got, and it's just an absolute dream. So, yeah, when he said it, the purple ones, he said if you could put some new rod rings on them, you'd probably sell them today, and he's probably right, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, they were a special piece of kit. I often joke with, I'm friends with a lot of the people at Daiwa, and I often joke, say I'm your worst customer, because I got a set of the Daiwa amorphous carp rods back in probably about 1990 when they first came out, and a set of the SS 3000 tournament reels, and I've still got them, whereas really a tackle company want you to buy the latest of everything that comes. Although I did buy a Daiwa Air fly rod the other day, and that is a thing of real beauty, and it's made me look at the Air match rods. So one of my friends I saw the other day, he's bought a 9-foot feeder rod, and it is I don't need one, but you just see it and you want it. It's terrible. Fishing can do that. Yeah, it sounds
like
very,
it's
very.
actually a few quid.
Yeah, no, it is dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, same as when you go to trade shows and what have you. But yeah, most of my tackle is as old as I am. Now, something else we always do on the show. I like the questions. I thought you were pushing your luck when you asked Keith for 6 questions in 60 seconds, because as you said, we both agreed earlier, Keith speaks for England. But we have our own quickfire questions here that we ask all our guests.
Yep.
So,
shoot.
Right, first one. If you could only fish for one species, what would it be?
Tench.
I like it. Yeah, good shout. Yeah, I love tench. Do you know what? I haven't caught a tench in the last calendar year. That worries me. But haven't fished for them much either. But yeah, they're special, aren't they? Especially when you're a kid. I bet. Yeah. Your dream fishing location. Oh, they are, aren't they? Yeah. And don't they fight hard? I always think that, like when you've you're talking about fishing in the sea, and when you're overseas, when you're playing a tarpon out in Florida, there's it's so exciting when they're doing somersaults and going on 100-yard runs, but I never think, oh, please don't come off, please don't come off. Whereas, I don't think it's as exciting as when you've got a tench and it's trying to make the sanctuary of the lily pads and your rod's bent up and I said, please don't come off, please don't come off. This, I don't know what it is, but, tarpon comes off, it's not the end of the world, but that tench, you just, special fish. I'm talking about abroad, your dream fishing location, you can name 2, home and abroad.
Oh, crikey. Abroad, best angling experience I ever had. Florida Keys, without doubt. Unreal. I didn't manage a tarpon. I didn't manage... they talk about the big 4, permit, tarpon, sailfish, etc., grouper. I managed a sailfish and I managed a small grouper, but the other 2 did elude me. At home, by far and away my favourite venue, Docklow Pools, Herefordshire. Spent a lot of time there over the years. Fished many a festival. Good friends with the owners, just a fantastic place. It's a commercial, but it's not, if you know what I mean. It's varied, it's mature, that would be the word I would say. So, yeah, they would be my 2. Anytime, anywhere, if you said go fishing, if I could go to those 2 places, I'd be off like a shot.
Yeah, and it backs on, they've got a stretch of the River Wye there as well, haven't they?
They have. I've not had a chance to fish that. In more recent times, we've started a family, so I've not been able to get over as much as I would like. And they've got a stretch of the team as well, actually, Nigel. And they've taken both of them on pretty recently, the last sort of 5 years or so. So I've not had a chance to wet a line yet. And I believe there's some big old chub in both of those stretches that they have too. Yeah. So maybe not like Martin's 7-pounder, but not far off.
Yeah, I haven't fished the team for a long time. I used to have a ticket up at, I think it was Bransford, but I haven't fished it for a long time. But beautiful little river, the team. And everybody knows that Barb will fight hard. But on the team, they were known as Team Tigers because they reckon they fought harder there than on any other rivers. And they really were special fish, weren't they?
Yeah, and a lovely part of the world, it really is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And when I like you come up, Docklow Paul's wasn't Tommy great? Because you asked him about his favourite fishing place, and he said he didn't care as long as he was fishing. That was great, wasn't it?
That's right. And it surprised me. I asked him his favourite fish as well, and he said dace. I couldn't believe that. I didn't think that's what he would say.
No, that's right. And finally, tell a TalkSport listener who's never been fishing why they should give it a go.
Oh, crikey. How long have I got?
Go on, you fire away.
Why should they go fishing? It's about
There's
solitude.
Probably somebody listening now who thought they were going to be hearing the cricket and they're listening to all this strange angling talk about wagglers and pole floats and sliders. So go on, before they switch off, tell them why they should give it a go.
It's about solitude. Yeah, it's about solitude. It's about getting out and about, in touch with nature. It's about your mental health as well, Nigel. Again, I know that's a big thing in the news, if you like, with all the stress and strains people are going under, but just the chance to get away from the rat race. And if you're like me and you like a bit of match fishing competition as well, it's about getting with your pals and sort of sharing ideas and having a bit of a laugh in that respect as well. But for me, as Keith Arthur once said, it's the best excuse for loafing around in the countryside, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you just mentioned there about Keith saying that, and the mental health, and I know you mentioned it on your thing about fishing being available on prescription now as a trial with doctors, and the timing is perfect for it, isn't it?
It is, and it's great to see the returnees, if you like, the amount of people that have picked a rod back up again, and a chance to sort of get back out and see what fishing has to offer. I can imagine if you've had 15, 20 years away from the sport and you come back to it, you wouldn't know where to start. And I think it's really important, and it's incumbent on all of us really to sort of help and provide as much guidance as we all can, and get people catching fish and sort of remembering and reminiscing, and then they will introduce new people back into the sport as well. So it's a full circle, isn't it, Nigel? The more everybody can help out and talk about it and de-stress, if you like, the sport will grow even further. And the rod licence sales are obviously testament to that too.
Definitely. And besides people being able to listen to your podcast, they can also read you. You still writing a column up there in Lincolnshire?
I do. I started it a long time ago, about 10 years ago, when I was back in the Northwest. It was a free paper at the time called the Oldham Advertiser, and they had no fishing presence whatsoever, so I offered my services, and I did that for about 3 or 4 years. And when I moved down here, it was a similar sort of thing. It's called the Sleaford Standard, is my local paper. Loads of different sport, everything from sort of yoga right the way through to your local football. There was nothing from an angling perspective. So similar things that I've just said, really. If I can give a bit of my time and just put a bit of fishing in the local paper, if it attracts newcomers, that's what I'm aiming for, and some tips and tricks in there. So yeah, it's online every Thursday, when there's content, of course, to put in. But yeah, sleafordstandard.co.uk.
That's a great name for a paper, isn't it? The Sleaford Standard. I used to write an angling column for the Dimbleby newspaper group, Richmond and Twickenham Times, Brentford and Chiswick Times, when long time ago, and yeah, still got friends I made writing that column. So yeah, good on you. Spread the love. David, been a pleasure talking to you. I shall look forward to listening to Nick Speed when that's uploaded. People use their normal search engines, they'll find it if they just go on their phones, and great listen, and keep up the good work. We'll speak again soon.
Thanks very much, Nigel. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. It's David Eastwood there. Coming up next, Lewis Porter of Fox International about that exciting new initiative with the Angling Trust. We'll hear more about that coming up next on your favourite fishing show.
Fisherman's Blues with Nigel Botherway on TalkSport 2.